Hey guys, got a little tidbit here on edge retention. Everybody talks about keeping the edge of your blade nice and whatnot. And they're usually talking about, you know, the best blade to get, make sure you're keeping it sharp, and all the stones you can take with you in the field and all that stuff. But I'm going to talk about how not to use your blade. So another part of edge retention is only using your blade when you got to. So right now I trimmed up my cedar yesterday, and so today I am harvesting some bark, and I could use my knife, but I don't need to. So why waste my blade? So when people talk about edge retention, they're not just talking about how to keep it sharp. Well, how to sharpen your blade. They're talking about, you know, if you don't need to use your blade, why waste your blade? Why dull your blade on something you can do with your fingers? You know, if I need to get something started and I use my blade, you know, just to get it started, that's it. I don't need to use it and go across all this wood when I can just pull it with my fingers. Okay? So if I got a stubborn piece here, I'm going to take my blade out. I apologize for this crappy. I'm going to get it started, put my blade down, use my fingers. Okay? So I don't need to use my blade to do something like that. Also, you can use the back of your blade to do this, or to do other tasks, so you don't dull your blade as near as fast. Okay? And you can save it for stuff when you really need to use your blade, and you don't have to sharpen it as much, because every time you sharpen your blade, you're taking material off, which is how you keep it sharp, but it, you know, it's using a resource. You know, just like when you talk about fire and you talk about, you know, renewable resources and stuff, you know, you're eventually going to run out of your artificial tinder, your wet fires, your store-bought stuff. You know, you're eventually going to run out of a ferro rod or a fire steel. But as long as the sun is shining, why not use the sun? It's a renewable resource. Now, if the sun isn't shining, that's when you go to your mag rod or your ferro rod and use something. But once that ferro rod is gone, it's gone. Okay, you either got to go buy another, or if you can't, you got to find another way to start fire. Okay? So it's just another thing to think about. As I was sitting here doing this, figured I'd shoot a quick video just to talk about it, because I think we all forget about it at one time or another. You know, you're like, whoa, I got this really cool new sharpening system. I want to use it. So let's go dull my blade. Well, that's probably not the best thing to do. You can do that. But another thing you could do is take a scrap piece of metal and sharpen that. Or, you know what? Sit tight and wait till your blade's dull, because it will be dull eventually. You can go out and do a craft or carve something that you were already gonna carve, or learn some new skill, and that'll kind of expedite things. And I know it's hard that once you get a new toy, you just want to go play with it, but it's not always the best thing to do, because at some point in time you're gonna run out. You're gonna run out of stone, you're gonna run out of something, and then what are you gonna do? You gotta have a backup plan to your backup plan, and something that's renewable, something that doesn't wear out or get used up, like the sun. Okay, sun's, for the most part, gonna rise the next day, and you'll have another way to start fire. So you know, just be conscious of your resources even when you're practicing. And you might have, you know, a bunch of whatever in your bag. Say you got like 10 wet fires. Well, that's great, but wouldn't it be great if you didn't have to use those? What if you came home with 10? You know, after you went on your trip and you took 10 with you, and you're like, well, this should last me the whole trip, you know, whatever. What if you came back and you still had those 10? That'd be nice, wouldn't it? You know, then you could save those for another trip, and you know, maybe you save a couple of bucks, or maybe you get to practice something that you wouldn't have otherwise been able to practice. So it's just something to keep in mind. I'm rambling now, but just something I think that we sometimes forget, especially, you know, if we have the resources right in front of us. It's sometimes hard not to use them, I guess. So I try not to test stuff unless I'm actually going to use it. So I don't want to start a fire unless I'm actually going to start a fire. You know, I'm not going to just throw together a video just to throw it together. When you see me with sparks or mag shavings or whatever, I might cut the video off. You might not see me use that to start a fire, but I started a fire with it because I'm not going to waste that. I don't come out here to do fire videos unless I'm actually starting a fire for a reason, you know. Whether I'm going to be, you know, eating lunch, making a s'more, or, you know, burning some stuff I got laying around that I need to get cleaned up. You know, it's all, everything is a resource. So you just got to think that through when you're doing stuff. So just keep that in mind. Just like this is a branch to my cedar tree that I trimmed yesterday, and I'm just going through before I burn it, because it's just twigs and stuff I need to get cleaned up. Before I burn it in my fire here, I'm taking the bark off, so I can use that in the future to get fires going, okay? Instead of just burning it all in one piece, I'm taking the bark off, okay? So it's just something to keep in mind. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more.